Greetings everyone, Pete here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today, by popular demand, and I'm talking popular demand, the studio discography of Kiss. Okay, before we even start, we got two camps here, right? We got those people who absolutely love and adore Kiss, can't get enough of them, and then we got the other camp who absolutely hate them and will stop at nothing to ridicule and lambaste anybody who listens to Kiss, including myself, their music, their albums. So let me just start off by saying this. If you're not a Kiss fan, stop watching right now, okay? Let all the Kiss fans have some fun here, all right? So, originally I wasn't really sure exactly how I was going to tackle this because I don't own all the Kiss albums on CD. I have a good chunk of them. I have the ones that I really like a lot. I had like almost all of them at some point, either on LP or cassette back in the day. Never replaced them all on CD. I have the classic ones. A lot of the kind of like the mid, late, and 80s and 90s ones I'm not a huge fan of. I had them all on cassette or LP back in the day. Never bothered to replace them because I'm not a huge fan of those. But I do have opinions on them, okay? And I decided, you know what, I'm going to tackle, I was originally going to do like maybe my top 10 favorites albums or something like that. I just decided, you know what, I'm going to tackle all 20 of them. All right, so you're going to get the whole shebang. This is only the studio albums, all right? So I will go on record right now to say my two favorite Kiss albums of all time is Kiss Alive at number 1 and Kiss Alive 2 at number 2. Those are my favorites. I love all those songs performed live or not, whatever, however you think that, all right? But I just think that those two live albums contain the definitive versions of a lot of those songs. So, but I'm not going to discuss those today. Today we're just going to talk about the actual studio albums, where all those songs came from and a lot of the stuff that came after it. So, and got it all written down here today. The ones I do have, I'll talk about in person, and at the end, I'm going to talk about those 4 solo albums as well. So, let's get started. So, coming in at number 20, at the bottom, an album I just never took to, have really no desire to ever really hear it again. Just, I don't know, this era of Kiss for me, not a lot of interest. I'm talking about Crazy Nights from 1987. They were doing that whole pop metal thing like so many other bands were doing. Just not very memorable stuff for me. Just, growing up a Kiss fan of the 70s, that's the Kiss I like. Kiss with the makeup, Kiss with the, kind of gritty nature of their songs, that, I don't know. It's just something about, for me, and I know it's probably in my head, when they took off the makeup, they lost something with their music. And again, I think they took off the makeup right around the time where heavy music was changing, all right? Early, mid-'80s, late 80s. A lot of the hard rock and metal bands were doing kind of that thing. They were writing songs for the radio, writing songs that would become, to get videos made, to have exposure on MTV. And there was this kind of like air of commerciality around it all. Didn't really work for me. I could say the same thing about number 19, Hot in the Shade from 89. I don't know, not a memorable album for me. I remember getting it back in the day and thinking, a couple songs here and there. I know there's people who probably love those albums, and that's cool if you do, all right? I just don't. All right, coming in at number 18, all right, we're going to go ahead to 1997, Carnival of Souls. I think, Kiss in a weird place. They're just like trying to figure out how the hell do we fit in, get grunge and alternative all the rage, and metal is just like kind of taking a back seat. And, Kiss is like, geez, we still want to put out new music. How do we fit in? And they put out an album that's, kind of dark and grungy, but I don't know, just kind of didn't really work for me. Again, some couple good songs here and there, just for me, not very memorable. Number 17, Psycho Circus from 98. So, of course, we were just talking about how Carnival of Souls, Kiss trying to figure out where the hell they belong. Well, what they finally decided to do after so many years is like, you know what? Let's put the makeup back on and get back together with Ace and Peter and go out and do a reunion of the classic Kiss. And I think Psycho Circus, works a little better. I don't know what it is. Again, it's probably in my head, but I'm sure a lot of long-time Kiss fans will tell you that there's something about when those guys have the makeup and the costumes on You know, the armor and the platform boots and all that kind of stuff, they just seem more inspired to write Kiss-style material. I don't know. It's just, for me, a lot of the albums where they don't have the makeup sounds like it could be almost any band. Again, I know there's people who are going to be like, but those albums are great, I love them, and it's fine if you do. For me personally, as someone who was listening to Kiss at 10 years old back in 1976, you know, anyway, Psycho Circus. A couple pretty strong tracks on there. I think for the most part that album works pretty well. Number 16, I'm going to go with 1992's Revenge, which I think is a pretty solid album, pretty heavy album. All right, I think there's some good guitar playing from Bruce Kulick on that album. I think that album works out pretty. It's a darker album. All right, I dug that quite a bit when it came out. All right, so that ranks up, a little bit higher for me. Coming in at number 15, I'm going to go with Asylum, which is the first album with Bruce Kulick on guitars. I think Asylum also works pretty well. A couple, kind of hits, MTV staples for the band. Not a bad album at all. Coming in at number 14, I'm going to go with Animalize. Okay. Mark St. John on guitar on that album. I actually thought he was a very good guitar player for Kiss. And I like a lot of the guitar work on that album. And I actually like some of the tunes on that album. I actually saw them on that tour. It was the first time I ever saw Kiss, believe it or not. And I was at one of, I think, the two shows that Mark St. John actually came on stage and played with them, because he was having serious hand issues. I think he had really, really bad carpal tunnel, if my memory serves me correct. And he was, they started the tour. He was unable to play, so they had Bruce Kulick kind of stand in the wings to fill in for the shows where he just absolutely couldn't, where Mark just couldn't play, and that turned out to be the majority of the shows. But the Mid-Hudson Civic Center show in Poughkeepsie, New York that I saw, Mark actually came out and played. And I remember a cool little, interesting little story from that show is that, normally the lead guitar player of Kiss, whether it would be, Ace Frehley or, Vinnie Vincent or Mark St. John or whoever, the lead guitar player would come out and do an unaccompanied guitar solo. But because his, carpal tunnel or his wrist or hand issues were so bad, and this was one of the only shows he played on that tour, they actually had Paul Stanley come out and do the guitar solo, which was not very good. One of the worst kind of unaccompanied guitar solos I've ever seen. And I love Paul, don't get me wrong, but he's not a lead player. And he's out there just doing kind of like hammer-ons and, pine into the crowd, doing the Hulk Hogan thing, and just really not doing much of anything. And I'm just sitting there kind of like... And at the time, you really didn't hear a lot. There was no internet back then. So you really, it's like, well, why is Mark St. John not out there doing that? All right, but in actuality, he was hurting pretty bad. So that comes in at number 14. Coming in at number 13, I'm going to go with 2012's Monster. As you can tell by I don't have all these other ones. All right, 2012's Monster, which is the last one the band did. Okay, I actually think this is a pretty strong record. To me, it just kind of goes back to the late 70s Kiss stuff. All right, some strong songs on here, Hell or Hallelujah, Wall of Sound, Back to the Stone Age, The Devil Is Me, a lot of songs, but I think pretty hard and heavy Kiss. All right, if that's kind of how they go out, not too shabby. Of course, this is with, Paul and Gene and Tommy and Eric, right? All right, some people that's a cover band, but whatever you think, that's cool. But I actually enjoy these two albums. Number 12, Sonic Boom from 2009. Even a stronger record in my opinion. Modern Day Delilah, good song. Russian Roulette. What else is on here? All for the Glory, I'm an Animal, When Lightning Strikes. Excuse me, pretty strong album, I believe. Let me get a sip of water here. Doing a lot of talking already. All right, here we go. So where are we up to now? We're up to number 11. All right, so I did a video, I don't know, a year and a half ago, something like that, where I talked about stinker albums from bands you love, right? And I brought up this next album, which, since I've done that video, so a lot of times when I do stuff like that, I say, you know what, all right, so I did the video, I talked about how much I don't like these albums by these bands that I really dig a lot. Let me go back and revisit again, even though I've been trying to get into them for, in some cases, decades, right? So I decided to try and get myself reacquainted with Unmasked. All right. And while I'm still of the opinion that it's not a great album by any means, it's probably not as bad as I've always thought all these 30 some odd years, right? I think Is That You is actually a very good song, up-tempo rocker. I think Naked City is fantastic. All right. Great song. I think Two Sides of the Coin, She's So European is great. Torpedo Girl is excellent. You know, there's a couple of Ace Frehley written and sung songs on here, which I think are very good. I think most of the Gene Simmons material is very good on here. I find that some of the Paul Stanley songs are kind of lacking and kind of like really poppy. Like Shandy, I'm not a big fan of that. You know, Talk to Me is okay. Tomorrow, You're All That I Want, pretty good song. You know, overall, not a bad album. Not as bad as I've always thought it was. All right, and that's coming in at number 11. Coming in at number 10, another one. Okay. My problem is that this just doesn't sound like a Kiss album. But actually, if you kind of get that out of your head, it's actually not a bad album. It's their maligned, very controversial concept album, Music from the Elder. Okay. Which was 1981. You know, again, some of this, it just... And they tried something different. Got to give them credit for that. I think the timing for this was wrong. I think if this was released in any other time period, I think it would have done a little bit better. It's actually, you know, produced by Bob Ezrin, and I think they wanted to work with the guy who worked with Alice Cooper, right? Maybe this album came out a few years too late. All right, I think if they would have maybe tried to slot this in between, Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over, maybe not quite so much controversy, right? But for all these years, I've always been like, just could not, because at the time, early 80s, I'm into, Priest and Maiden and Scorpions and Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and all that kind of stuff. And I was just thinking, God, Kiss, what have you done to me here? What have you done? Right? But in looking back, The Oath, Mr. Blackwell, Dark Light, Odyssey. I mean, there's actually some good stuff on here, but it's very kind of orchestral and melodic, and there's lots of really mellow parts, and it's like very theatrical, Broadway sounding. Maybe not what Kiss fans wanted at the time. But that's why I think over the years, a lot of people have kind of gone back to Music from the Elder and said, hey, you know what? It's actually probably their little unknown hidden masterpiece. But a lot of people still ridicule it big time. And I've found that I have given it, as you get older, your taste change a little bit. You become a little bit more accepting of things that when you were younger, you were like, fuck no, right? So I will say Music from the Elder for me is going to come in at number 10. All right. This is, all the stuff I really, really dig from the band coming up here. All right, so coming in at number 9, again, don't have it on CD. I don't know why, because I always really dug this album. Lick It Up from 1983. All right. Strong album. All right. Band peeling away the makeup, but delivering a really good album. You got Vinnie Vincent on lead guitar, doing a pretty good job. A lot of strong tracks on there. All right, this is, I think, the beginning of the MTV era for Kiss. And it kind of worked, a lot of attention on the album because, of course, Kiss without the makeup for the first time. Woo, big deal, right? But, there was a short-lived lineup. Vinny did not stick around for too long. Pretty capable guitar player. I'm not even going to get into Vinnie Vincent today. All right, I think better left unsaid, that whole catastrophe. So that's coming at number 9. Coming in at number 8, you know what? This album has always taken a lot of shit from people, but I always liked it. I remember buying this as a kid and really digging it. I don't mind I Was Made for Loving You. That's kind of one of my, secret little favorites. I mean, it's what do you call them? I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to think of the term. One of those songs that you shouldn't like, but you do. But the reason why this album kind of means a lot to me is just it kind of came out at a time where, first of all, my father, when they released this album and they announced the tour, I said to my dad, and I was, this was 79, right? So I was 13 years old. So not quite old enough to go to concerts yet, especially not on my own. And I said to my dad, Dad, I really want to go see Kiss. They're playing at Madison Square Garden. And he goes, do you really want to go? And I said, yeah. He goes, I will go and get us both tickets. He goes, I'll take you to Madison Square Garden to see Kiss. And I was like, oh, Dad, you were the best. You were the best, because he hated Kiss. He hated them, right? Hated the way they looked, hated the music, hated walking into my room with the posters and pictures all over, wall to wall, over the walls. Hated everything about it. But he said, you know what, son? I'm going to take you. But of course, what happened? He went to the ticket office in New York City, because he worked in New York City, and went to go buy tickets, because of course, back then, no internet, you didn't know when shit went on sale, or none of this stuff, and they were sold out. So I was pretty devastated. And that, believe it or not, my serious kind of addiction to Kiss shortly after that kind of, I still was listening to them and buying their records, but my days of a loyal Kiss Army fan were waning, because I was discovering Black Sabbath, and like I said, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, all those other bands, UFO and Maiden and Priest and Scorpions and so on and so forth, Rainbow, and that Kiss was kind of falling by the wayside a bit. But anyway, back to the Dynasty album. So I actually think, once you get past I Was Made for Loving You, you got a great rendition of 2000 Man by the Stones, sung by Ace, quite good. I think Sure Know Something is a fantastic song. One of my favorite Paul Stanley songs from that era. Dirty Livin', sung by Peter. Very cool album. Cool song. Charisma, Gene's kind of fun song, whatever, kind of cheesy. Magic Touch is a great song. Another very strong Paul Stanley tune on here. Hard Times, another Ace tune. All right, you got X-Ray Eyes. Kind of dig that from Gene. And then Save Your Love, which I think is one of the hidden gems on the album. I love the chorus. I just think it's a pretty cool, heavy track. I dig it. So I like the Dynasty album. I've always liked it. I know it kind of divided the fans quite a bit when it came out. All right, coming in at number 7. How about Creatures of the Night? This is a hell of an album. Probably one of their heaviest albums. All right, and basically, at a weird time for the band, because they're just, Peter's gone, right? You got Eric Carr coming in. You've got, is Ace on it? Is he not on it? Who's actually playing guitar on here, right? Ace is on the cover, and a lot of these albums, the kind of the later 70s albums and the early 80s albums, you can't even keep track of who's actually playing the instruments on these albums, right? Because you got all sorts of session guys coming in and out, because, Peter and Ace, not reliable, according to what you've heard, according to reports. And, you got Anton Fig and, Steve Hunter and Dick Wagner and, whoever else there, bro. All these people. You got Bob Kulick and Steve Lukather. You hear all these stories about all these players who came in and contributed, guitars and bass and drums and whatever. So who the hell knows? But all I can tell you is Creatures of the Night is a damn fine album. The title track is killer. All right, Saint and Sinner, Rock and Roll Hell. I Love It Loud. A song they still play to this day. Right, all killer. War Machine, another great song. Just a very good, heavy, early '80s album. All right, and they kind of had to be at that point. But then, what happened next? They took off the makeup and started going in different directions and whatever. All right, so coming in at number 6, I'm going to go with Love Gun. I remember dragging my mother to pop me in the car and take me to James Way, 3 towns away, to go, because they had it on sale. If I remember correctly, I think the LP was like $7.99 when the week it came out. And I remember seeing for those of you Hudson Valley people, I remember seeing an ad in the Times Herald Record newspaper, because that's the local newspaper, and that's how you would see things back then, right? And they say, had an ad for James Way, new release this week, Kiss, Love Gun, $7.99 for the LP. So my mom drove me to Monroe, New York, to James Way department store, which is, for those of you who are too young and don't know, James Way, kind of like Kmart or a very small version of Walmart. Because you remember back in the day, there was no Walmart. They were like these smaller department stores like James Way and Caldor and White's and Ames and, Bradley's, all sorts of little smaller, chain department stores before there was these superstores like Target and Walmart. So James Way was one of the local ones. So it took me to go pick this up. I remember digging it quite a bit. Always loved the cover art. I Stole Your Love, Christine 16, Shock Me. It's got the great Shock Me on it. All right, the title track is awesome. Hooligan, I always thought was a really cool tune. Almost Human, Plaster Caster, What else? Got Love for Sale, Tomorrow and Tonight. Tomorrow Tonight, Then She Kissed Me, Could have done without those two songs. The rest of it, I pretty much dig. All right, coming in at number 5. How about a little rock and roll over? All right, from 1976. In fact, they released 2 albums in 1976. Pretty strong album. Always dug that kind of cover, right? You know, what do you got? It's I Want You. Good songs. Ladies' Room is on here. Baby Driver. You know, Baby Driver, one of the, for me, one of the unsung songs from this album. I always really dug the tunes that Peter Criss sang. All right, always liked him. Love Him and Leave Him, Mr. Speed, another really good song. See You in Your Dreams. You know, Hard Luck Woman was kind of like the hit from this album. Yeah, I'm never been a huge fan of that tune. Making Love is a great song. All right. Calling Dr. Love. They call me. Like that. Good stuff. All right. Coming at number 4. If we would have had this discussion 20 years ago, this album might have been my number 1 or definitely number 2. I'm finding as time goes on, I'm not as enamored with it as I used to be. However, I still think it's one of their best. I'm talking about Destroyer, also from 76. You know, I mean, it's... I remember buying this with my own money, all right? Saving up my 50-cent dollar allowances, whatever, to buy this. You know, this and Kiss Alive that was my introduction to Kiss. And I think there's still, you know, this album is very different from the 3 that came before it, which are very raw and gritty, okay, and raucous. And this is very produced. You know, you got Bob Ezrin working with the band. This is very kind of theatrical, and you know, some may say overproduced, but you know, the songs are fantastic. Of course, you got, you know, some Kiss staples here: Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World. You got God of Thunder, of course. You know, the very grand, majestic, Great Expectations, Flamin' Youth, Set the World on Fire, Sweet Pain. All right, Shout It Out Loud. Unforgettable anthem right there. You got, of course, Beth, which was an enormous hit, total anomaly for the band. All right, and then Do You Love Me? So a lot of classic Kiss stuff on here. But again, it's an album that I think I liked a lot more way back in the day. Still dig it. Don't listen to it as much, probably because it's a little burnout going on with it, but it's still, I totally accept how fantastic it is. Next up, I'm going to go with Dress to Kill, their 3rd album. All right, 1975. Another really solid one. I never liked it as good as the first 2, but I think there's a lot of people who probably like this better, okay? And that's cool, because it's got some good, Room Service is fantastic. You got Ladies in Waiting, Getaway, Two-Timer. You got the incomparable Rock Bottom, all right? Drop Dead Classic, Come On and Love Me. All right, these are all staples of the live album. All right, Anything from My Baby. She is a fantastic song. One of my favorite Kiss songs. Love She. Love Her All I Can and Rock and Roll All Night, of course. Their big, massive early hits. Kind of the song that really got things rolling for the band. So, Dress to Kill, obviously, legendary. All right. So, I know a lot of people would probably rank my number 2 as number 1. But my number 1 has been coming on strong. Sometimes you get on a roll with an album that maybe, years ago you really liked a lot, but now all of a sudden it's like steamrolling to the top of your favorites list. Well, that's kind of what's been going on here with me. So number 2 for me is going to be the debut. And again, this is a album that's got all of their early great stuff that are classic songs, but for me, I always like the versions on Alive a lot better. But still, I mean, come on, you got Strutter, you got Nothing to Lose, Firehouse, Cold Gin, Deuce, 100,000 Years, Black Diamond. I mean, those are drop dead classics. All right, and you got a couple others. You got Let Me Know, you got Kissin' Time, which I think's got a barnstorming riff on it, as kind of silly as it is. Love Theme from Kiss, so I think that the Drop Dead Ultimate Kiss classics are on this album, but I like the live versions better. And there's something about Hotter Than Hell coming in at number 1 for me, at least that same year, that I've just gotten to appreciate this album more and more over the years. I love how dark it is. It's pretty heavy. It's got this menacing, ominous quality to it. Like this is like the dangerous Kiss, and that's what I like. All right, and it's just there's just some songs on here that for me, got to choose. Who's your baby? I mean, such a great song, right? Parasite, another top 10 Kiss song. All right, Going Blind. Love that song. It's kind of just mournful, dark and heavy. Great vocal by Gene on it. All right, you got Hotter Than Hell, the title track. Fantastic. Let Me Go, Rock and Roll is kind of their up-tempo boogie rocker on this album. Very cool. All the Way, killer, underrated song that the casual fan probably has never heard. All the Way is a great, great song. My favorite Kiss song of all time, Watching You, is on here. Dark, heavy. That's early metal. All right. Love it. All right. Mainline. Another really cool song sung by Peter Criss. Great vocal on that. That's kind of more of like a rock and roll boogie song. All right. You got Coming Home, and then another favorite of mine, Strange Ways, written by Ace Frehley, sung by Gene. A devilish, just really ominous vocal from Gene. It's a heavy song. It's got this incredible guitar solo from Ace on it. Just a fantastic end to a fantastic album. And for me, that's my favorite Kiss album of all time. So there you have it. Before we recap, let me give you my synopsis of the solo albums. Okay. So out of the four of them, and I bought these all when they came out. All right. Every one of them. Again, saving up my allowance to purchase these. I remember having different opinions on all of them. So at the time, this was, what years did these come out? 77? God, I don't even remember. Hold on. Let's find out. Let's find out exactly when the solo albums came out. Am I going to find out? 1978. All right, it wasn't too far off. So, Ace is the best, all right, of all of them, I think. It's just, I think for a lot of people, you heard snippets of Ace singing on a couple albums that came before it. Everybody knew he was a pretty damn good guitar player, and I think here, coupled with the musicians he chose to work with, I think he just sounded very kind of sure of himself, very confident. The vocals are good. The guitar playing is tasty. Had some outside writers help out when, putting together the songs, but I think that, Rip It Out and Speeding Back to My Baby, Snowblind, Ozone, okay, New York Groove, obviously written for him, very cool. Wiped Out, Fractured Mirror, just some really good stuff, some really cool instrumental work, some really memorable songs. This is an absolute top shelf solo album from any guy in a big band, right? And I think there's just no question that is head and shoulders above the others. I will say though, the Paul's is pretty damn good, and that's my second favorite out of the four of them. This is and I think that his songwriting, very similar to kind of what we would hear on the Dynasty album. So I think some of those tunes that he wrote and sang on the Dynasty album could have slotted right in here. I just think that, Tonight You Belong to Me, Move On. What else? Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? Very cool song, I think. Take Me Away, It's All Right. Love in Chains. I don't know. I just think it's a pretty good rockin', very melodic album. Very good melodic rock album. And then you got Jeans coming in number 3 for me. This one is kind of hit or miss. The stuff that works on here works really well. The stuff that doesn't is almost kind of a little silly for me. I thought Radioactive is a good tune. All right. What else? Burning Up with Fever. Pretty cool. Tunnel of Love, See You Tonight. True Confessions, Living at Sin. At the Holiday Inn. I mean, that is what it is. What else? Man of a Thousand Faces, pretty cool. Mr. Make Believe, I dig. See You in Your Dreams. That's very cool. And then he does When You Wish Upon a Star, which... So, a couple cringeworthy moments for me, but there's also some pretty cool stuff on here. Of course, Gene hanging out with Cher right around that time, if you remember correctly. And then coming in at number 4, looking back, when this was released, again, Peter was my favorite member at the time. shared the same name. I was into the image. I always liked the way he played drums. I was not yet dabbling on guitar, so I wasn't automatically gravitating towards the guitar player. But I remember putting this on and thinking, what the fuck is this? And I probably didn't say those exact same words, but I was like, what is this heap of like current R&B and soul? Where's those real gritty vocals and what is going on here? So ballads and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, but, revisiting all these years, it's actually not as bad as I remembered. It's just you have to kind of come to grips with how different it is. And this is really what he really liked, this type of material. You Matter to Me is a catchy tune. Don't You Let Me Down. That's the kind of sugar Papa likes. Rock Me Baby. Kiss the Girl Goodbye. Hooked on Rock and Roll. I Can't Stop the Rain. Here It Comes Again. For what it is, it's okay. Easily the weakest of the four. But you know what? Give him a lot of credit for trying to do something different, right? So there you have it. All right, so that's a lot of Kiss, right? Holy moly, that's a lot of Kiss. So let me recap my top or my ranking. Remember, rank them how you like them. That's the motto of this Ranking the Studio Album show. Rank them how you like them, and who cares what everybody else thinks, right? Because we all hear these albums differently. There's no right or wrong answer here. So for all you people who are going to, charge after me saying, oh, I can't believe you put Hot in the Shade so low. That's their best album ever. That's fine if you think so, my friend. I don't. And I don't have to put it where I don't think it belongs. I rank them how I like them. All right? This is not the definitive best or worst of Kiss. This is just me. This is a conversation between all of us. So this is us talking about Kiss, which albums we like and why, which ones we don't like and why, that sort of thing. All right, you want to go look up in the Encyclopedia of Rock and Roll and see how they, or Rolling Stone and see how they rank them, whatever, go right ahead. All right, we don't do that here. So anyway, coming in at number 1, Hotter Than Hell. Coming in at number 2, Kiss, self-titled. Number 3, Dressed to Kill. Number 4, Destroyer. Number 5, Rock and Roll Over. Number 6, Love Gun. Number 7, Creatures of the Night. Number 8, Dynasty. Number 9, Lick It Up. Number 10, Music from the Elder. Number 11, Unmasked. Number 12, Sonic Boom. Number 13, Monster. Number 14, Animalize. Number 15, Asylum. Number 16, Revenge. Number 17, Psycho Circus. Number 18, Carnival of Souls. Number 19, Hot in the Shade. And number 20, coming in dead last, Crazy Nights. There you have it. Kiss, ranking the studio albums, ranking them as we like them. So this is on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on the mighty YouTube all the damn time. I'm going to be pumping out some stuff today, guys, so get ready. It's Sunday. Things are settling down over here, so I'm looking forward to diving back into the music. So what do we got? What else am I doing today? Gonna try and do Tucky Buzzard today. For those of you who are like, who the hell is Tucky Buzzard? Don't miss it. Stay tuned. Find out about it. What else? I don't know. Gonna try and crank out a bunch. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So we'll see you real soon. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. See you guys later. Bye bye.